Hi, my name is Morten Tange Kristensen. I'm a physio from the Copenhagen area in Denmark. I work as an senior researcher at one of the major hospitals, and I'm also an associated professor at the University of Copenhagen. And I'm co-lead of the FFN Physiotherapy Special Interest Group. So this is to give you an overview of what guided our decisions for outcome measures that qualified for this CPG. You have the level of evidence, and to get a level 1, there should be at least 2 reliability and 2 validity studies, and importantly, performed in patients with hip fracture. Level 2, at least one of each, and level 3, at least one reliability or one validity study. So, and grades of recommendation goes from A to C, and you will see those letters in the following, specifically related to those measures that qualified for this CPG. So this is the overview of all measures that qualified for this CPG. And you have the domains out here. We have the early post-op inpatient setting, have the post-acute inpatient setting, and we have the post-acute community setting. So, but my talk today will specifically focus on the early post-operative setting and specifically on these 5 measures. So it's the pre-fracture functional level, evaluated with the new mobility score. It's pain, evaluated with the verbal weighting scale. Basic mobility with the accumulated ambulation score. Gait speed, the time for walking from 4 to up to 10 meters normally and converted into meters per second. And for functional mobility, it's the timed up and go test. So pre-fracture function, we recommend the new mobility score. Importantly, it can be used for all patients with hip fracture, and it's being used in the Irish hip fracture database. It's focused on 3 activities: indoor walking, outdoor walking, and walking during shopping. And if you're not able to do one of these activities with help from another person, you will get 0 points. If you can do it with some level of help, it's 1 point. If you can do it on your own, but with a walking aid, it's 2 points. And if you can do it without any difficulty and with no assistive device, it's 3 points. So it's a score from 0 to 9. And it has proven as a strong predictor of functional outcome and mortality, and also it has proven feasible for use as an outcome measure to monitor improvements during post-acute rehabilitation and for recovery of function. For pain, we found this verbal weighting scale as the one with the strongest evidence for use in these patients. And it's a bit different from other pain scores because you use the categories when you have a conversation with the patient about how much pain do they experience. So if they say, well, I do have pain, you will ask them, is it slight, moderate, or severe pain? And you can have a conversation to find out more or less what's the right level of pain that they actually experience. So the points are only used by you to record the pain. And it also has proven valid for patients with some level of cognitive disorders, which is a huge challenge to monitor pain in. Cumulated ambulation score also can be used for all patients, was developed specifically for these patients. It's used in the Danish and Irish hip fracture database, and it's focused on 3 activities: getting in and out of bed, sit to stand from a chair, and walking with or without an appropriate device. If you cannot do that, no matter how much assistance you get, you will get 0 points. Some level of assistance from other persons, it's 1 point. And if you can do it independently, it's 2 points. So on a daily basis, it's a score from 0 to 6 points. It comes with a score sheet, so you can follow the improvements of your patients, and also you can focus your daily physiotherapy on specifically on activities where they are not yet independent. So, and what it's all about is that they get 2 points in these 3 basic activities, so they can move around on their own indoor. So, about gait speed. As I mentioned, there are different versions, but it goes from 4 and normally up to 10 meters. But there's a number of issues that are quite important no matter which version that you use. So you need to be aware that you have to use the same standardized instructions when using any of these gait speed tests. And one thing that is important is the instructions about the speed. So in the US, you normally will use walk at a comfortable or normal speed. Other settings, other countries, it's more commonly to use the instruction walk as fast as safely possible. So, but it just as long as you use the same instruction and be specific about it, you can use any of these depending on what's the normal approach in your setting or in your country. Another thing is it a standing or a walking start? You will have to be aware that if you have a walking start, performances will be better than if it's a standing start. So again, you need to use the same instructions. And finally, it's about the assistive device. If using a standard four-legged walker, you have to lift for each step you take. You will see that your patients will use more time to perform a gait speed test compared to when being offered the option of using a rolling walker or a rollator. So just be aware of that. You need to use the same, especially if you want to monitor your patients over time. You need to use the same instructions and the same devices if you want to have the real picture of how much they improved. So the timed up and go test, more or less the same things applies to that test as for gait speed. So again, you will find different versions. The original version of the talk was walk at a comfortable normal speed. But other settings, other countries again has taken the fast speed version into their practice. So just as long as you use the same and are specific about what you're doing, you will be able to compare different persons and also compare or evaluate improvements over time. So again, the assistive device, it does influence performances, and we actually have an example on patients. It's the same patient offered the option to perform the talk with 2 different devices. And as you can see, those using a standard walker used on average, about 50 seconds and performed much faster, below 35 seconds when offered the option to use a rollator. Bit the same picture for the standard for those using crutches. Not as big a difference, but still, when offered the option to use the rollator, they performed a little better. So this is very important, and especially in the early stage after fracture, this does influence performances. So, and that was my part. Many thanks for your attention, and please join us at the Q&A webinar on Tuesday, 27th of April or Wednesday, April 28th. And please check out these links for the FFN organization and Congress later on this year in Toronto. Thank you.